what it is about cosplay in the Pacific Island community. As you all know, my name is Joseph. I go by the cos name of Cospasifik, formerly known as Cospasifik because I play French, but then I just shortened it down to Cospasifik. A little bit about myself. I've been cosplaying for nearly 2 years. I've been cosplaying for nearly 2 years now. I've been a huge follower of cosplay for a while before that. I used to follow but it wasn't until like 2 years ago I decided to give it a go myself. And my first cosplay was that of the 10th Doctor. And my first con I went to was here in Auckland. Since then, I've played a major role in the cosplay community right here, especially through on CNZ. I'm also a member of the Cosplay Safe Haven, as well as admin for the Big Brother Society, which is run by myself and Johnny and Mark and a few others. What I want to talk about today is about bringing cosplay to the Pacific Island community and just explain what it's all about. Can we get hands up? Anyone who's, I think you guys are all from the islands, but yeah, but it's all about just giving it a go, without any further questions and all that. I mean, you go back, say, 10 years ago, with cons like Armageddon and the stuff you see over in New York and San Diego. 10 years ago, cosplay was mostly dominated by the Asians, by the Asian people and the Palangi people. They were the two majorities of cosplays that you'd see back then. It was very rare to see Pacific Islanders getting involved with cosplay, and even if they do, or let alone come to a con, and even if they do, it'd usually be for example, just buying the latest manga or anime or checking out the latest games and whatnot. It would never pass across their mind of cosplay at all. Fast forward to now, and you're starting to see, a significant amount of Polynesian people, getting involved with cosplay itself. For example, we have, Johnny, who also goes by the name of Icewolf Cosplay, has been doing it for quite some time now. He's been, he did Blade, as well as Blade Trinity, and if you see him outside now, he's also doing Black Panther. There was also another guy who did Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. There's two Maori guys who's done Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and they're both brothers. And the list goes on. I mean, so there is a rise of both Maori and Pacific Islanders getting involved with cosplay and just soaking in every minute of it. With as you see, what I'm cosplaying right now, I'm actually cosplaying as Maui from Moana. I made that decision to cosplay him because ever since Disney made the announcement that they was going to do a movie set in the Pacific, and I've been following tabs on it as well, to see what they got there. And then the minute I saw Maui, I had the need to go as that guy. By doing this, it will somehow be able to encourage many more Pacific Islanders, and just let them see that it's okay to cosplay. It's cool to be different, Every day you hear, like the average Samoan, Tongan, Fijian. They'd be heavily focused on the usual sports, politics, religion, and stuff like that. You see them out in rugby fields. You see them out in government. You see them. Some of them even grow up to become ministers and just preaching the gospels and stuff like that. So that's what it's all about. But why is it? But the thing is, why is it that you don't see a lot of Pacific Islanders getting involved with cosplay? I've did a lot of major thinking about this, and I've somehow managed to narrow it down to just only three areas. First one is with family. The second one is with culture, and the third is with religion. And I'm gonna explain each and every one of them as we go. It will be fairly short and sweet, but I will do my best to get straight to the point. So the first one we'll talk about is with family. Family is pretty strong in the Pacific community, and everybody knows that. I'm the youngest in the Samoan family, and I grew up with one brother and one sister, and then we started having an extended family coming up from the islands. But technically, I am still the youngest. But with family, well, there are some that don't seem to approve cosplay for many reasons, because they see it as it's strange, it's unusual, not normal, I mean, a lot of people, they see something on TV, they see people dressing up in costumes and stuff like that, whether it's a stormtrooper or a Halo Spartan or assassin or whatnot, and they look at it and they see, oh, why do they want to dress up like that? It's strange. And they look into the parents. It's usually the parents that it really hits the hardest, and they look into their kids' bedroom. They see posters, stuff like from anime, like Dragon Ball Z, or Star Wars and stuff like that, Spider-Man, the Avengers. The list goes on. Most parents, they expect their children to do well in their schools, in their education and work and stuff like that. They expect them to be at their best. Sometimes they would push them too far, to the point, with discipline is necessary. But in this case, that's not what it should be. If you're the sort of person who wants to be, who wants to have a Dragon Ball Z poster, if you want to be the sort of person that wants to dress up as a anime character, or want to learn something different that you've never done before, then by all means, you just go for it. There's nothing. What's holding you back? I mean, they do say family do come first. But wouldn't it be nice if they were also there to to actually support you on it and just back you up all the way? When I told my parents, when I went up to Wellington early on this year for Armageddon, and I bought my parents tickets to come see me there, and only my mum showed up, and she pretty much saw me in my Assassin's Creed outfit, and the first question that she asked me is this worth your time? Do you enjoy doing what you do? My answer, yes, it is. It is, because this is what I love doing. This is what I love doing, and I get a lot of benefits from it. I learn from the best. I meet friends. I meet up with old friends. I make new ones, and it just gets better and better along the way. So when I went to visit my parents later on that night, and they sat me down, they started talking, and I gave them my own reasons why I wanted to do this, because in the end, that's who I am. That is me. I don't want to be just another Samoan guy who's with nothing better in life. I don't want to be just someone that people expect me to live up to the expectations. That just isn't me at all. But eventually, they are on good terms with the whole cosplay thing, and they do support me from a distance. Unlike everyone else in my family. I mean, my sister and my niece, they are the biggest supporters in my life. They've always been there, you know, and I'm really am grateful for it. So I mean, if you want to cosplay, you just you just go for it, you know. And that's, I mean, and if you got family that's going to be there to support you and help you in any way possible, then, you know. The second thing about why cosplay is often frowned upon in the Pacific community is with culture. Now, we all know, especially in places like Samoa, Tonga and Fiji, they are very, very strong with their cultural beliefs and all that. But what do, you know, if say for example, you want to make a stormtrooper outfit, but you want to add some specific designs to it. You'll get a lot of compliments from it, but then there'll be those who'll look at it and say, "Oh, are you trying to exploit our culture? Are you trying to sell out our culture? Is that what you're trying to do?" You know? Yeah, I mean, you have no right to put these Polynesian tattoos on yourself and just, you know, and like act like that. But that's not, you know, but that's not what it is. You know, we're not here to exploit any form of culture at all. You know, we're not here to sell out the old ways, the old traditional ways. I once read a post on Facebook. There's a Samoan woman who runs her own business over in the States, making the traditional outfits for women used for ceremonies and stuff like that. And Disney released a line of toys for Moana, and one of them had a certain traditional headdress which is used for for specific ceremonies and stuff and whatnot. And I can understand where she was coming from, you know. I know she wanted to protect her culture, but the way how she sees it is like as a form of an exploit. I mean, it's no different than getting a traditional tattoo and just showing it off, you know, to the world. I mean, that's why, it was bound to happen one way or another. But for this one, well, she goes on to say that a customer called her up and asked if she can make her daughter a similar outfit of Moana, but she never responded. She didn't reply because she assumed that she's just taking the piss out of it, you know, she's taking a joke. Thanks. And so she proceeds to say that, well, I want to make this one thing clear. I'm not going to make any outfit that's to do with Moana, and I'm not going to sell them out to just anybody. And no, I'm not going to teach you how to do the Samoa way if you're just going to use it for that one time only, if you're going to treat it as a joke. Now, this one's just actually split in two ways. Like I said, I can understand where she's coming from. You know, she wants to protect her culture and all that. But the other half is that she's just simply overreacting. Once Moana comes out, every girl in the world will want to dress up and be just like her, and there's nothing we can do to stop that. It's not a way, we're not exploiting it, you know. We're simply just, Disney isn't actually exploiting Moana at all. They're not exploiting the culture. I've seen them do their homework. You know, they sent people out to to all the islands, including ours, and just learn more and more about it. And the more they learned, the better they became. And well, you guys seen the trailers, right? You've seen the trailers. You've seen it for yourself. So yeah. And so it's it's all. It is good to protect your culture, but it's even better if when you blend it into something that is fully modern, you know. You've already seen the way with the Maori designs are done. if I'm not mistaken, there was a Mandalorian who had hers done with a with a touch of a Maori design on her helmet. I think I'm not so sure if she brought it here this year, but she did wear it last year, and I thought she actually did quite a good job on it. She really did. So that's so it's okay to so there's nothing wrong with combining what we have today with what we have back then, because it simply means it just gets better, as we go, and it's also another way of teaching the future generations as well. You gotta you have to remember where it all started, where it all began. The third and final reason why cosplay is often frowned upon in the Pacific Island community, and this is a big one for me, is to do with religion. My parents are ministers for a church in Wellington, and they're both pastors. People would expect me to live by their example, but that is not the case for me. Like I said, I am different. I don't want to be just another average Samoan out there, just like anybody else. And this is how I'm doing it, through cosplay. I have okay, so I go to church. Yeah, okay, I'm a Christian myself, and I go to church every Sunday. I do have there are some people out there who will tend to believe that cosplay is the form of the devil. It's like they say, I even got my I know a few people in my church, they look at me and they say, why do I associate with these people? Do they go to church? Do they know who Jesus is? And then they proceed to say stuff, what you're doing is wrong. That's the evil way. That's the demon way. That's the and I'm like, I'm standing there, I'm like, what are you guys on about? Do you even know what cosplay is? Have you even bothered to actually have a look at it, and not just like look at it from a distance and just say, ugh, Cosplay, that's the sad thing about it. The sad truth is, there are some people out there, Polynesian or not, who will tend to see that cosplay is like some form of an evil satanic cult. I won't lie. And there are some, and there are even others who would tend to see it as a joke. There was this one guy that I met up in Wellington last year, when I was up there for a holiday over Christmas and New Year's, and I showed him a few pics of myself as Kylo Ren, lightsaber and all, and he's looking at it, he's like, oh yeah, that looks pretty awesome, that looks pretty choice. Later in the day, my mum comes up to me and she's like, oh, why did you show that boy these photos? He's been telling me about it, and he seems to take it as a joke. He's like laughing behind my back, and I'm like, well, I don't really give a shit about what. Well, I didn't really say that to her, I said, well, I don't really give a shit about what he thinks, because this is who I am. This is me. Okay, I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm not here to please anyone. I'm doing this for myself. And if he's got a problem with it, then why don't he just grow up here and come say it to my face instead of just talking about it behind my back? I got really pissed off, about the way how I was treated like that. Same thing with my church. There are some people who still think that what I'm doing is wrong. What I'm doing is like a form of the devil and the demons and all that la-di-da and all. And I'm just like, I get really pissed off every time they talk about it. There's this one girl in my church, I told her, she asked me what I do, and I said, well, I do cosplay and I like to watch Doctor Who. And next minute, I hear her telling her other girlfriends, saying that how Doctor Who is the devil and because he changes into a different person. And she goes on to talk about how it's all this, connected with all this Illuminati bullshit. And I overheard all that. I just went up to her. No, I didn't smack the shit out of her, but instead I did talk her down. I just berated her like hell. And I said to her, well, what do you know about Doctor Who? You don't even watch them. You don't even watch the show. If I remember correctly, I come to your place and all I see is you watching all those religious programs that is totally pointless because they're too busy arguing one side to another, and no one's ever going to win that. And well, their expression on their face is quite priceless and all that. Cosplay is not a religion, and it's not a religious cult. Cosplay basically it's just a form of a hobby that everyone gets into. And it doesn't matter what religion you are from. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Catholic or if you're a Muslim. It doesn't matter what church you go to. If you want to if you want to cosplay, if you want to dress up as a character, then you just get out there and you do it. Who's there to stop you? Who's there to hold you back? Because that's who we are. We don't do this for to impress anybody. We don't do this to get attention, even though people do come up to us for photos and and we get to be on TV and stuff like that. We do this for ourselves. We do it for the love of it, and that's the important thing, And that's the point I'm out there trying to get across. I'm not so sure there are any other Pacific Islanders out here, but it will be nice, if I do come across another, and just give them the same knowledge and the same skill that I once picked up from other cosplayers before me, and hopefully they can pass it on to the next generation of cosplayers, and the next generation, and just so on and so on. I'd like to call myself the first Samoan cosplayer, but then that wouldn't be true, would it? I mean, supposedly there would have been another Samoan cosplayer before me, and there would be another one before him. No, unfortunately, no.
You should go on Twitter because it's easier to meet up with other people who are in the same niche as you. Because my dad comes from Fiji. I don't
Okay.
usually look Pacific, but
Yeah.
I am Pacific. But by being on Twitter, that's how I find the niche Pacific and queer people and people who are into cosplay, and it's like you can suddenly find lots of people who are kind of into the same stuff as you. It's actually quite hard just in real life to actually meet people
I have actually came across a couple of cosplayers from Hawaii. And and I've been friends. I've actually been friends with one of them for quite a while, and he's been constantly just been following my progress with my Maui cosplay. I'd like to bring my fishhook over here with me, but unfortunately, it kind of snapped in two.
See, I think it's really awesome that you're doing the Moana cosplay because I've read lots of that debate going on about cultural reappropriation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's Pacific kids actually need Pacific
Role models, yeah, exactly.
And Taika Waititi was involved in the writing and everything. So to me, it's actually a really positive use of our culture, and I think it's awesome to have you doing the cosplay.
I think it's about time, I think it's about time the Pacific, the Polynesian kids have someone decent to look up to, and rather than just looking up to the usual, the All Blacks or the Silver, rather than looking up to the usual crowd, say for example, Jonah Lomu or people like him. It's time that they start looking up to real heroes from places you would least likely to look. I think with Maui, I think that's where he comes in. I mean, because I know everyone's read stories about Maui back in the day, back when you're at school. You hear all the traditional stuff about catching the sun, fishing up land, and whatnot. But then you have this whole new generation of kids, and they know nothing. They hardly know anything about his exploits, about his adventures. Yeah.
I think for Moana is that it's like, have you guys seen the movie The Deadlands?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But what is important, I think, is that it gives us a visual reference. It's like a primary visual reference for Polynesian and Pacific mythology.
Yeah.
Right? It gives us something that if we want to talk about Polynesian mythology, Pacific mythology, we can say that this is a style guide. It's a style guide.
Yeah.
It's like the Deadlands is a style guide for pre-European settlement
Yeah.
Maori culture.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. The Deadlands, it actually puts Spawnsville Warriors to shame.
Oh, yeah.
And judging by the main characters, it kind of makes Jack the Mist look more like Jeff Damari. In a major way.
I'd say that Once for Warriors is... I thought it was a very honest movie.
Oh yeah, it is. No doubt about that.
Okay, so I'm from Hamilton, and I worked at a petrol station in Grubby Park. And I can tell you that, Once for Warriors was set in Auckland.
Yeah.
That I saw a lot of very similar culture in this part of Hamilton. But it wasn't racial either. It wasn't just Maori. It was white people, Pacific people. Just generally poor people. Well, not poor. I don't want to say poor.
Well,
people from a certain socioeconomic environment and a certain culture.
Yeah.
So it was a very honest movie, but it wasn't an exultant movie.
No.
There was no. It was everyone was debased, really.
Yeah.
But in the Deadlands, Lawrence McCoy's character was, even though he was flawed, he was still, he was a very competent martial artist. So I think it's like a martial arts movie. Really.
It is. They actually did a thing about that there was a program called Deadliest Warrior, and they put up a Maori warrior against a Shaolin monk. Yeah, I've actually watched it, and quite honestly, I don't think it was pretty fair, because the Maori was indeed stronger, but I think most of the time he just kept using the taiha.
Taiha is no joke.
Exactly, yeah. It is very. It may look blunt, but if you swing it with precision, it's strong enough, But like what he said, and like what I said before, it's time for Polynesian kids to learn about the old, about these old traditional Polynesian mythologies. One thing I want to point out, Maui is more than just a Maori mythology. It's basically a Polynesian thing. Maui is what actually brings us together. He's like the main foundation for all Pacific nations, be it a Samoa, be it from Tonga or Fiji or Cook Islands, or anywhere within that South Pacific, within that Polynesian. It's what he's the main character that brings us together. And for another thing, I do think it is time for Disney to start dishing out a Polynesian princess like Moana. Lilo and Stitch kind of started, you know, they were the first, but I think they kind of started the whole thing, even though it's like set in Hawaii. But Moana is definitely the legitimate princess, and I actually can't wait for that movie to come out. And I hope you guys do get to watch it when it comes out too, because from the trailers I've seen, from what I saw, personally, it's it'll pretty much top all the previous the Disney movies, including Frozen. I thank you all for coming here today.